What's good, bro? Why is a man's life harder than a woman's life? It's a great question. If you look at the narrative that's put out there in the world, it would state the exact opposite is true. I grew up thinking women were oppressed. I thought women were meant to be protected, and I thought that men are oppressing women. Because I went to school, and that's all they told me. When I went to the most liberal school probably in this country, that's what everybody said to me. That was the reality that I lived in. Little did I know that I was just being shielded from the truth. Like a kid that still believes that Christmas is real. So I started reading a book. It's called The Unplugged Alpha by Richard Cooper. And I had already listened to Rollo Tomasi's The Rational Male, and so I'd already really begun unplugging. But when I read it, he included a report from a gentleman named Dr. Warren Farrell. He wrote a book called The Myth of Male Power, and that really opened my eyes up to what was going on and the lies that we were being told. So, in short, men are made, women are born. That's it. Women have always viewed men as success objects. Men have viewed women as sex objects. Now, why is that? Well, a woman has innate value because beauty is valuable in this society. Being able to give birth is more worthwhile than being able to give semen. It's just a fact. And that's not to deny the fact that giving birth isn't easy. But you are just valued more. A woman has to preserve her value. A man has to create his. That's it. So a woman is born with value. A man has to create value. How does a man become valuable then? Well, since he has no inherent value, he has to become strong. He has to be able to protect. He has to develop a good personality. He has to max out his looks. He has to become wealthy, or at least be able to provide. And he has to become a man of status. I mean, we all know these things. And what does a woman have to do? Don't get a bunch of tattoos. Go to the gym if you're starting to get overweight. Don't get too many piercings. Don't dye your hair red. It's like all of these things that you shouldn't do as a woman. And then as a man, it's like, okay, well, you need to do this. If your girl makes 6 figures, you better make close to 7, mother. Anyways. So, moving on, Hillary Clinton had an interesting quote. And she said that women have always been the primary victims of war. Women lose their husbands, their fathers, their sons in combat. What does that tell you? Isn't that a joke? We're literally living in a female-centric society where the person that dies isn't important because the person that lost them is even more important. Does that even that makes literally no sense. Essentially, men have become disposable. That's it. Because if somebody losing their life is less important than the person that lost them, what are we really doing? What are we valuing? So, feminists, if you're watching this video, fire your engines. Here's some stats from the guy who was a former feminist, Dr. Warren Farrell, in his book, The Myth of Male Power. 26 of the last 27 school shooters have actually come from fatherless homes. What does that tell you? They're saying toxic masculinity is a problem, but what I'm seeing is that there's actually a lack of masculinity. That's the real problem, because if they had fathers, they would know how to act in these situations. The idea of letting your emotions get the best of you and acting out in a way that doesn't even make sense, in a way that isn't logical, in a way that hasn't considered all of the possible alternatives, that's a feminine way to act. Like, to just lash out your emotions and go do something crazy and terrible like a school shooting is. That's not what a man does. That's not something that's masculine at all. It's actually the literal opposite. It's literally a feminine behavior. Next, women and men have similar death rates from breast cancer and prostate cancer, respectively, and yet 6 times more research is spent, 6 times more money is spent on research for breast cancer. I mean, those are just the facts. You've seen it. We have a breast cancer awareness month in the US. 85% of homeless people in the US are men. I don't know if you ever saw that film, The Pursuit of Happiness, with Will Smith, but in that movie, he tries to get him and his son into this homeless shelter, but it's just a woman-only homeless shelter. He can't get in. And there are a lot of those, actually. A lot of them that men have no business being in. It's just women. So if 85% of the men are the ones that are homeless, women are actually just being protected. And that's not to say that women shouldn't be protected. They absolutely should be. But don't come and lie to us and tell us that men are oppressing women when women are being protected. That's all I'm asking. Anyways, 94% of workplace injuries are men, which just seems to make sense. I mean, men choose the more dangerous jobs. Think roofers, miners, law enforcement agents. Obviously, there are some women that do that, but it's mostly men. Firefighters, it's almost all men. So men are getting injured in the workplace too. Men get longer prison sentences than women by a lot, even for the same exact crime. And men are twice as likely to be the victim of violent crimes, and that even includes rape. And 3 times as likely to be murdered. So, in the end, the life of a man is difficult. But we don't sit here and complain about this shit, because everything we get from life is in direct proportion to what we put into life. You put in a little bit of effort, you get a little bit of results. You put in your best fucking effort that you can possibly muster. You put in your all into this, you'll get all that life has to offer. Newton's third law states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Action by action, we can literally make our lives better. We can go to the gym and become stronger, become wealthy, become valuable. We have the keys. We've seen people do it before. So I'm actually super grateful that as a man, I can literally create my value. I don't have to just worry about preserving it. I can wake up, I can go to the gym, I can read, I can become wealthy, I can work, and I can create myself into something more valuable. And so, beautiful women, I realize they're not a scarcity, bro. They're everywhere. But a man of value, a man of high value, who has his life sorted, that's in good shape, that's the true rarity in this life. So your highest return on investment as a man will always be that of being a man of vision, purpose, and one who always chases excellence. Especially in any realm of human endeavor, you have to aim to be the best. That's it.